Oh, I lost my co-host. Wait just a second. Um, I am Iris, and I am here with Eyes of Indigo, and I do have Katie Costa joining me tonight. But evidently, she got bumped in the introduction, or the intro came on. But while we're waiting for her to get back with us, um, oh, here she comes. Let's see. I'm looking for you, Katie. Wait a minute. There you are. And there you go. Great.
Hey.
Okay, good. I was like, there was something about when I dropped the intro, knocked you out. I don't know why. I think it did that before. It was
It
weird.
did. It's okay.
Oh gosh. But well, Margot Ross Sears couldn't be with us tonight. She was planning on it, but she's kind of had a relapse. I don't know how much I can share, but it basically really vicious cold virus. Doctors, she actually said the doctor called it systemic COVID, which I've never even heard of. I think they're just making up stuff. She thinks they're just making up stuff, but she is just couldn't. She went back to the doctor today, and she said, I cannot do the show. So we're wishing her the best and sending her lots of love and hope she gets better. I
We'll
had
keep
the
her in
flu
our
for 2
prayers.
weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just now kind of coming back this week from having the flu for 2 weeks. So that's where we've been. And we hate that we missed the shows, but it just, you wouldn't have wanted to have seen us then. So this week we were so glad we've got Katie joining us, and I'll introduce the topic in a minute. Yes. And just want to remind everybody, we are live weekly when we're not sick on Wednesday evenings at 9:30, discussing weird stuff in a rational way, which topics vary with all kinds of things, and to kind of let folks know um, what's kind of coming up ahead of us. Next week, we'll be doing psychic readings. And the next week, we're on chakras. We've been doing 1 week every month on the different colors. And so we're up to indigo, which is number 6. And if you are joining us, I'm hoping I should check on Facebook real quick. I just want to make sure that it's actually going. I'm not sure. But it might be I was having trouble. It says the video should start saying, why isn't it starting now? I am like so over Facebook lately. They've changed stuff, and they're not always working well with Be Live, which is the format, the studio that I use. So let me check YouTube and make sure. But we're supposed to be live on both YouTube, and yeah, it is live on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook sometimes goes through, sometimes it doesn't. But if we also record this, we're doing the live show, and we want to get comments from people. So if you are watching, please put your comments in. And if you're like sharing from Facebook, we'll repeat it for the people in YouTube and vice versa. Um, but it says yes, it is live. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the link over here in Facebook while people, because it doesn't look like it's going live. So if looks like it's giving us trouble on Facebook, go to YouTube and put the link up there. Oh, now Facebook doesn't even want to post that. Ugh, I am just so upset.
Would you like me to try to post something?
Yeah, if you could. The YouTube link is in the Facebook post itself.
Okay.
So if you want to try to post something under that feed for the Facebook Live, that would be awesome. And then while you're doing that, I could talk about what we're going to be talking about. So yeah, it's just Facebook's just being a bear.
Let's see. I do see a playlist link. Is that the link, the YouTube link? You mean it's a playlist?
Actually, there's the live one is going on right now, so you can
Okay,
either
so
go
go to
that
YouTube and get the link on YouTube. Let me see.
right, or if you go to Facebook, in the Facebook description for tonight's show, the YouTube link is there. I just remind people to go to YouTube.
Let's see live. Oh, here we go. All right, I found the video and I have the link for our live video stream right now. So share it where to Facebook?
Go to the Eyes of Indigo page.
Eyes of Indigo page.
And pinned to the top is our stream that's not happening.
So
in the comments under that, and then you could even do
okay, in the comment section. Okay, so I'm gonna say let's see, we are live now. Click here.
Yeah.
Paste. All right, let's see. And I'm gonna put let's see. And I can do a separate post too if you want.
Or wait a minute, no, that's not it either.
It says we're having trouble completing your request. That's never
happened. That's what was coming up with me.
That's never ever happened before.
All right, let me change my profile and go to Facebook profile. And I apologize to any listeners who are like going, this is a snooze fest. What are y'all doing? But if we can get through this before we actually get started. And
that's bizarre.
Yeah, it is. It is totally bizarre.
Huh. Well, it is going live on YouTube, which is good.
Yeah. And it'll be recorded, so
let's see.
Giving us issues. All right, I just posted under that. So hopefully, yeah, strange. All right.
Did it go through?
It did go through this time. You should see the comment under the pinned post.
Okay, cool. Yes, I see your comment. Yours went through.
Okay, and I made another comment and put the link again. So that's the best we can do. But hopefully people will jump over to YouTube and watch us. But in the meantime, tonight's program is on. Katie Costa is known as the Weather Shaman, and she's a Reiki Master, Educator, and Meteorologist, which we talked about. She was on our show before. Last month, I believe. So if you're interested, you can go to our to the Eyes of Indigo directory on my website, iriscarter.com, and you can look her up and find her previous show. And then or go to either Facebook or YouTube and scroll back some of them. But you can find out more about her background. But tonight we want to discuss the transition from competition to cooperation and what that means and what the differences are between competition and cooperation. We are, I was going to do a peek behind the curtain, but I'm not going to do that tonight since we had the trouble getting started up. So I'll just say another time. But we are competitive people. Typically, human beings are competitive. And some of those reasons, they started way back in our lizard brain with survival to we've got to be the fastest so we can outrun the dinosaurs. I know. I always laugh. Some people think dinosaurs and people were all at the same time. But we were outrunning dangerous animals. We had to run to keep up with animals that we were searching for as food supplies. Um, we had to be competitive in order to fight off enemies and win those battles, and to claim land and things like that. So that goes way back. But then as we progressed as human beings, and like if you could remember studying a little bit about child psychology and how um, even at infants, probably around the age of 1, I think, start realizing they're a human being separate from the people around them. And so part of them recognizing and becoming autonomous is doing things on their own without assistance from others. And then as they get older, how, I mean, even when you're teaching a kid to walk,
Mm.
you're like, come on, walk. That's great. You're doing wonderful. And parents are terrible about comparing their children. Oh, look, our kid's walking, she can't even roll over. And people get snide and that sort of.
Mhm.
But we then as we continue to grow, I mean, you look at teenagers. Everybody wonders why their teenagers suddenly just like become aliens when they're 13, 14 years old. But it's that autonomy again. They're going into adulthood and they're trying to stake their own ground. And it's a competition between mom or dad if you're a boy or a girl. You're competing. That's why moms and daughters don't get along at that age, because daughters are finding their autonomy and they're competing with mom for their own space.
Queen bee syndrome is what I've heard that's called.
Yes, yes. And so there's lots of examples all the way through. And then when you think about the psychological influences that children have. Oh my God. I used to work for a rec department, and my one small part of my job, thank God it was a small part, was managing the cheerleaders. Well, I didn't, because the rec department, we had like 4 teams at the rec department, and so there was 4 groups of cheerleaders. I didn't mind, staying for their practices and organizing all that. I didn't mind, and thankfully I didn't have to teach them. We had volunteers to actually teach the cheers and stuff. But I also had to go to the games and kind of watch over and make sure people were where they were supposed to be, and if anybody got hurt, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was appalled. I mean, I knew parents were bad when my kids were in competitive sport. Or my daughter was a cheerleader,
Mm.
and my son played softball a couple of years. And I knew parents could be bad then. But as somebody who had no monkeys in that circus, I was watching these people going, y'all are horrible. How competitive the parents were, and how that leaked over to their children and the influences that they had on their children.
Wow. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta, kill them, eat them, tear them up. It's like, what in the hell are you teaching your son or the little kid who's sitting next to you, your 5-year-old next to you while your 10-year-old's on the field? That's horrible, to.
It's almost like, their children, they're seeing them as objects for
Mhm.
performance, and almost like trophies. And it's
And
sad.
and then you get into the kid goes home, and if they won the game, dad, yeah, yeah, you did really good. Or if they did bad, well, your coach sucks, or you could do better than that, or
Right.
whatever the comments might be. And I would just, I mean, not that I heard any of that firsthand, but you could kind of tell what was going to happen when they got home
It
based on
impacts the
how.
kid's self-esteem for sure, big time.
Yeah, and there's lots of movies where you have those scenarios in it, and we all recognize the kids that retreat or the kids that become overbearing. I knew kids like that in high school that were on teams that, some guys were fine, they were out there to have a good time, but others, you could just see, you knew that they were getting a lot of pressure, or you got to get into a good school, you better get a scholarship, it's like, please. All right. And then we're also molded into being competitive, whether
Mhm.
even if you're not consciously competitive, the getting attention as a baby, wanting to please your parents. Some rebel, some want to please. So,
And grades, that's a big one.
oh God, yes. Yes. And then you've got the ones, some parents pay for grades and how they reward their kids for good
Mhm.
grades, or
Mhm.
if they reward them at all of that's crap. And then, it's always the survival of the fittest, even,
Yes.
and getting a worthy mate,
Mhm.
you feel like, when you're dating, if you're in high school, you're competing against all the other girls for boys' attention, or y- you know uh, in day-to-day life, who's, if you get a guy's interest, would somebody else have his interest too, and all that. um, Job success, we
Mm.
have a lot of competition for job success, and some people are very um backhanded. They'll sabotage you so they look better,
Yeah.
or or there's nothing worse than having a crazy boss, where nothing you do pleases them. You do something and then well, why'd you do it that way? Well, does it matter? It got done. Well, I would have done it this way. Well, it still got done. And then, you try to do it their way, and then they're going, well, why'd you do it that way? And it's like, you can't win
All
or lose. And
centers around one word, ego.
yeah, oh, good point. Good point. Yeah. So, yeah, ego.
Ego looks for our differences. Ego wants to look for our differences and see how we can one up the other. It sees all of that versus our heart sees
Yeah,
everything, sees the commonalities, sees what we have in common, sees all of us on an equal playing field. But that ego, man, really wants to divide and conquer and have us all competing against each other when really we need to move into that cooperative space.
exactly. And there's the, ego is a 3D based,
Yes.
because we're on Earth, we have egos.
Mhm.
When you leave Earth, you get to leave the ego behind.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to that. I really, in terms of being able to just fully release that ego. You need a little bit of ego to survive here, but
Right.
a healthy level of ego. A healthy
Yeah, but you
level of
also, keep it in check,
yeah.
and then when you look at other subtle things that affect how we um are conditioned, look at like advertising influences.
Mhm.
You'll look better if you buy this. You'll look younger if you buy this. Even Pepsi and Coke had the Coke Wars, the Cola Wars. And it's talk about competition, or which one's better, or do the taste test, do the, try it. You'll like this one much better, or new and improved, and all that. And it just feeds you personally to, oh, well, maybe I need to be new and improved. Maybe I need to be better. Maybe I should look better, act better, be happier.
Yep. Branding, basically any kind of branding. And, I know brand name clothes are a big thing for kids to fit in these days. It's what they're wearing. Are they wearing the cool designer brands, or are they wearing Goodwill? And it's sad to say, but that's, a big thing with kids. It always has been, and it still is today.
I was so fortunate when my kids were coming up. We got them nice things, but it wasn't necessarily the brand. They might have one or two little things, like one pair of jeans that were, but for the most part, they were very good about accepting what they got
That's awesome.
without having to, because it was like, it looks nice. It's not ragged and torn. It's, good clothes. They're just as good as and they would
Mhm.
actually get excited about going and looking at sales and things like that, and not having to worry about the brand name.
That's awesome. Your kids seem evolved and
And
amazing.
in some ways, and I mean, they're look, I love my children and they were amazing kids, but they had their issues just like every other child does, but still they're good kids. Um Also, even well, I know this was one that came to mind um, when I was pulling together notes for the show. I was thinking about how recipes in the family get to be competition.
Mm.
I had like mom would have her recipes that she wanted to keep secret, but then eventually she finally let go of that. But like one of the funniest was my mom found a recipe for a cake called the Better Than Sex cake.
I've heard of that.
It is awesome. It is awesome. It's just the flavors that go together. It has like
That's
about
awesome.
4 different kinds of chocolate in it, and
4 kinds of chocolate. Okay,
there's
I'm already there, man.
yeah. Maybe I'll make it for a gathering coming
Oh,
up or
that would
something.
be fantastic. Oh my gosh.
And so I made, and it's made in 4 layers. So like instead of like just the typical 2-layer cake, you make it 4 layers, and so
Gosh,
it's
that
thin
sounds
cake,
amazing.
and the frosting's awesome. It's just this to die for cake. It's one, just really is awesome. And so I made it for my mother-in-law and my husband's family. And for just one time we were visiting, and I said, I made this, want to see what you think. And they were like just flipping out over it. So she said, I want the recipe. And I said, sure. So I gave her the recipe. Well, it wasn't a couple of months later, there was a Christmas gathering at my husband's father's family, all the aunts and uncles on his dad's side. And I noticed my mother-in-law she took a sheet cake, which she did a lot, you know. And at dessert, somebody starts cutting into it and they go, well, Patsy, what kind of cake is this? And she said, it's a Better Than Sex cake. And I'm like, and she had made it into a sheet cake. So all that chocolate had just dropped down to the
Oh my
bottom of the pan.
gosh, that sounds amazing, like divine.
Well, yeah, but it's not good when the chocolate sinks to the bottom of the pan and kind of gets charred a little bit, and because it's not mixed properly, because you tried to make it in a square cake pan instead of making multiple layers.
It still
And
sounds
so
amazing.
somebody says, "Well, it's good, but I don't know that it's better than sex." I mean, they were not flipping out over it like most people do when they. And she goes, "Well, it's Iris's recipe,"
Oh,
and I just shut up. I didn't say what I wanted to go is, well, yeah, and you had it last. What'd you do with it? Yeah.
oh my gosh.
But there's lots of competition and family like that
Yeah,
about, you
definitely.
know. But I was thinking about that, like mom's favorite recipes, or mom's cooking's better than mine, or that kind of thing. So it's another form of
It
competition.
is, it is.
And so what I wanted to share. I got a couple of things here. There's one that I thought was kind of funny. It's a cup. Oh, hello, Patty the healer has joined us. I'm
Oh,
sorry to.
Patty the healer's here. I love Patty. She's awesome. Hey, Patty.
Thank you. Glad you found us. We're, and if anybody else is watching, please, 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 say something. Let us know you're there. Um, this one I thought was a cute. It's some girls playing soccer, and one's got one of the other players in a headlock, and it says, "If all else fails, break their necks."
Oh my gosh. That's how some people get those. Some people take competition to the extreme.
Exactly. And then this one I don't agree with, but I thought it was very interesting. Not that I agree with any of them really, but I mean, there's some controversy behind this one. Let me put it that way. So you've got Mary Lou Retton on one side, and it shows her standing in front of the vault with her arms spread, and it says, "Continue to compete with a busted ankle to help the team." Then you've got Simone Biles, and it just shows a picture of her, and she looks like she's walking. She's not really doing anything. Cost her entire team a gold medal because of her feels. Because if you remember, she was having some sort of nervous, psychological issue that she felt prevented her from. It was like affecting her psychologically so badly that she was actually getting vertigo and not able to find her space when she was doing flips and stuff. So she could have killed herself if she had performed. Um, but a lot of people put her down for that. So that's why I don't put her down for that. I mean, I figure, what everybody goes through, they go through, and it's their choice. But it says, real athletic heroes when they perform when it's hard, and they might lose, not when it's easy and they know they will win. So, oh, and I lost Katie again. So one of the issue with that I have is when you're looking at these competitors and how people here she's back again. Hey there, sorry about that.
Hey, it's
Um
okay.
but the issue I have with this is when you have competitors like that, and then people start picking at them and comparing them. It's one thing to compete for sport, and it's hard in sports like these where you're an individual
Mhm.
and people will just lash out. And it's like
Mhm.
the fact that they were saying, um, some people will do whatever it takes to win for the team. That's not really fair. And every individual situation is different. And I just find that part of competition very ugly.
It's way too much pressure and it's almost inhumane, treating them like objects or animals instead of people. I mean, way too much pressure.
Very much. And then this one I thought was funny because it's don't loathe the competitor. This kind of transitions. Direct your malice towards the competition in which you are both participants.
Huh.
So it's kind of swinging into that we do get manipulated in competitions, and how people have, instead of making sports fun, I used to love it when my son was in t-ball or whatever, and it doesn't matter what the score is, we don't keep score. Did you have fun? And I love that. But
Mhm.
then, like, the next year he had a coach that was like, "We're gonna win, win, win." And I'm like, "Oh God." And they weren't supposed to do that. So yeah, and my son didn't enjoy it as much when the coach
Mhm.
was like that. um but I thought both of those, I mean, all those are all good about competition. Um, and competition can be fun. And if we recognize when competition is happening, we can release the compulsion to always have on our winner's hat. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that whenever you can recognize what the competition is, who's making it a competition, and what are the stakes, that can change your whole perspective. I've been in jobs where I felt like I was competing against people, or that if I didn't do this right, then I would lose, or I'd be seen as less than or whatever. And then when I started realizing, when you're looking at things like that and you go, in the grand scheme of things, how important is this?
Exactly. And I think, when you were talking, it was making me think like all of this competitiveness that is embedded to us in a young age has deeply embedded a bigger issue. We either have an extreme fear of failure or an extreme fear of success. It's like either extreme.
Yeah.
Cause us to freeze in our tracks. And so many people are frozen in fear because they're scared. No matter what they do, it's either going to be failure, or if they're successful, it's going to be more pressure on them that they're expected to perform at that level and continue to perform or more. And it's like almost, it's just, yeah.
And there's nothing worse than competing against yourself, too.
Ooh, that's a good quote. I have to write that down. There's nothing worse than competing with yourself.
Yes.
I love that.
But I have done it, but I've done it for self-satisfaction. Like I knew when this is going back to the rec department, the guy that I worked with that managed like all the sports leagues and things, he would go to his drawer and he'd go, okay, it's football season, and he'd pull out his football folder, and all he'd do is change the dates on all the letters. He did everything the same way, all the same forms, all the same people. When I would have an event and then go to repeat it, I would look at the previous event. What went well, what didn't go well, how can I make it better? And I still do that with anything I do. But I also learned when I was in high school about, doing what not I'm trying to say creative, and that's not right. The criticism, positive critiquing the event so that you would know what to continue and what not to continue, and what did people like, what did people not like, and how can you make it better.
Yeah, Patty has made some comments. Patty, I love you too, sweetie. And she said that child actors are taking their lives at a young age now.
Yeah, because they're not happy with themselves. Some feel like they peaked. Did you see? I didn't see it, but I heard a recap this morning when I was getting ready for work. I was listening to the radio. The guy that played the Asian young boy in Indiana Jones. He was in the first two Indiana Jones movies. And he was also in the Goonies, I believe.
I love the Goonies. That was one of my
favorite.
favorite.
Little Asian kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was in the two of the Indiana Jones movies, and he was in Goonies. But then it was like after that he couldn't get work, and he said he won a Golden Globe last night. And in his acceptance speech, he said, I've tried working for 30 years and haven't been able to find the repeat that he had when he was in the child movies. And he said he was thankful for somebody giving him a second chance as an adult, and he ended up winning an award.
Wow.
But a lot of them, if they can't get right back into it, they go from children to adults, and then they're kind of like washed up. They get really frustrated, and
because the expectations are so high and they feel like they can't keep meeting those expectations, and it can take a toll on them psychologically.
Exactly. Exactly. And Earthstar, that's Dale and Jeannie. Thank
Hey, Dale and
y'all.
Jeannie, thank you. We're so glad you're here. Welcome.
Appreciate you coming in. And yeah, I don't know what Facebook is doing, but just to recap, I mean, I have been dealing with the customer service people for the platform that I use, but Facebook keeps changing the rules and they're trying to keep up. But um, I was afraid I was going to have some problems because some stuff didn't go like when I set up the event and stuff. And there's nothing they can do. Sometimes Facebook is too busy. Like if we're doing it and it depends on how much content is being going on at the time,
And
we can get
sometimes
kicked
system
off.
updates too can cause it interference, system updates.
Yeah. So I'm just at their mercy for Facebook, but I'll try to be more proactive in putting the YouTube stuff out there. But yeah, competition with yourself, you've got to be careful,
Mhm.
and then again, why does it matter when you can ask yourself, you know, does this really matter? I used to get into a frenzy when we would have family coming for dinner or visiting or whatever, and I would think that everything had to be perfectly clean and the
Mm.
food had to be just right. And I would drive my husband at the time crazy, and I'd be yelling at him, "Do that, vacuum this, I gotta do this," and
Mhm.
and and then I started realizing I want to enjoy the people that are coming to visit.
Mhm.
And as long as I'm not sitting on a trash heap, they'll be fine.
Yep.
I don't need to worry. But I felt like I don't know, maybe it was something. My mom was always kind of that way when guests would come over. And I've always felt like, excuse me, I got this dry cough. Um, and I always it was like it always seemed like a burden to her to have people come over, but she wanted everything just right when they did. And I adapted some of that, and I finally said, "No, I'm throwing that away. I don't need that." So,
I
excuse
still
me.
got to work on that because I'm guilty of that myself. If I have guests coming over, I'm like, oh gosh, I got to do it. I got to do a cleanup. I got to vacuum everything, make sure everything looks good, put out little extra chocolates and little extra snacks, make sure everything looks good, and I'm trying to learn to not be as uptight in that area too. And a lot of it is learned behaviors, like you're saying, but perfectionism is a very dangerous place.
Oh, for sure.
Perfectionism is for sure a trap. And what I've come to realize on my journey is there is no such thing as perfect, that perfect is an illusion. And
Exactly.
it's just this never ending cycle of more, 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 making it even better, better, better. It's never going to be perfect enough. You just get in this vicious cycle, and it's just learning to see as long as there's progress being made, that's all that matters. And I've learned progress is so much better than perfection.
Yes, yes, exactly. I mean, and so anytime you're in competition with yourself or with somebody else, looking at what's the purpose and why are you getting so uptight? Um, let's see.
Patty
Back in 20,
said, yeah, back in 2015, the sports doc was
oh yeah.
oh gosh, you want to read this one, Iris?
Yeah, back in 2015, when the sports doc was fondling the gymnastics girl and the Olympics were turning a blind eye, don't parents uh, tell kids to say something about their private? In other words, what she's referring to is the doctor. God, where was he from? Indiana or Michigan, somewhere up there, and all. He worked for the as the Olympic team physician for like 20 years or something, and all
Mm,
those years. Um, his last name begins with an N. I can't remember it. But all those years, he was abusing the girls on the gymnastics teams,
mm.
and and the girls would report it, and the Olympics were turning a blind eye. They kept defending him
Jeez,
and
I didn't know
wouldn't look
that. That's
into it.
awful.
Oh yeah, it was a big trial. there was like over 100 girls that ended up in the lawsuit against him in
Oh my
Michigan.
God.
Patty says Michigan. Yeah, that was in the lawsuit. But again, the girls were in competition. They were expected to perform and to do and to not whine and cry. And and a lot of parents aren't even around their girls because they send their girls off. It's very few parents that are able to move with their children when they're in these competitions and stuff and in
That's so
training.
sad.
Yeah, she said about 50 came forward. I know it was somewhere between 50 and 100 people that came forward. But again, what do you teaching children that they can be, and he got 2 consecutive lifetimes. Teaching children, one, to speak out when somebody does something bad to them, and then and speak out for themselves, not just to tell on somebody, but to say, to tell that doctor, you don't have a right to treat me that way, and I will tell if you don't stop. Instead of the doctor going, don't you tell anybody about this. We have to teach her. But then other times there's a lot of instances where parents, both, the what do you call the parents of children who are actors, the stage parents, or the sports parents, that they're living vicariously through their children, so they are pushing them as well. And that goes back to how we get manipulated into some of these things. Um, the um, another important thing is everybody can be successful, and not everybody has to be successful in the same way. We don't
Yes,
have to compare.
exactly. We all have our gifts, different gifts and abilities. We're all different pieces of the puzzle. We're all unique with different abilities for a reason. We're not all meant to be the same.
Yeah, exactly. And uh in that way, it takes a village, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
I am so sorry. I thought the tea would help, and I don't know that it is. So I've got water too, so take a swig. But not everybody can be doctors, not everybody can be lawyers.
Exactly. We all are born with unique gifts for a reason, and we all play an important role, and we all are needed to be in different roles and come together and cooperate. And, it's teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yes, yes. In fact, I found a couple of memes regarding that. This one, in that teamwork, overcoming differences to work towards a common goal. And this is a cat standing on the back of a dog, so the cat can lick the water on the refrigerator.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
And Patty asked if I'm okay. Yeah, I've had a cold for a couple of weeks, or the flu for a couple of weeks, and this week I'm getting back on track, and I think I'm not used to talking so much at one time.
Yes.
So it's irritating. I took some cough medicine before the show, and I've been drinking tea, and now I'm gonna switch over to water, but it's just that tickle.
If you
So
have
I
any
apologize. I'm okay, but
Do
it's
you have
just.
any cough drops? They help a lot. The menthol cough drops really help with it.
No, I don't actually. And usually I have some mints or something, but I don't even have those. I got rid of all that stuff. Diets. Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could hand you some through the webcam.
I know, I appreciate it. But I'll be all right. But thank you. I appreciate you asking. And then let's see, let me remove that. And then this one, I love this one. I thought was so cute. My colleague and I working as a team, and you got this big dog with this huge stick. But if you look at the end of the stick, there's this little dog hanging off the end.
Oh, that is so precious. That is so precious.
Yeah.
Oh.
Patty says hot mint tea with honey. What I had was apple cinnamon with honey. So I don't have any mint. I need to get that too. And then let's see. Yeah, I want to get rid of that. And I want to show you this one. I thought this was really cool. I don't know if it's a real photo. I have no reason not to believe it isn't, but it's called Cooperation, and it's a bicycle built for two. And the guy on the
Oh, wow.
front doesn't have legs, and the guy on the back doesn't have arms.
Wow,
So
I love that. I love that. It goes to show that what we think are flaws are actually gifts and we can help one another. And oh, that is beautiful.
yeah, and I can make it full. I'm going to make it full screen, but I don't want to lose you. So maybe I
Yeah,
won't.
I know. I love that though. That is beautiful. Just us working together to, instead of fearing our differences, let's embrace them. And when we work together as a team, we are just so much stronger.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I love
Um,
what you said about, how we can maintain our own identities while still respecting and benefiting from what others bring to the table. And, that kind of makes me think of that in that picture. That's just beautiful.
yeah, yeah, very true. And I think it's just so important to remember that not everybody's perfect. And the more we there's I think there's a we've all seen the people of Walmart website where you have the outrageous pictures of people in Walmart. There are some people that you don't wear pajamas to a job interview. You shouldn't. There's certain things, but people have done it. But there's certain things that you should do because you care about yourself and you want to take care of yourself.
For respect, self-respect.
Self
It's in
respect.
respecting ourselves that people will respect us. Yes.
Right. And so it doesn't mean that you're putting on airs, and it doesn't mean, but it just means you're taking care of yourself. You're taking a bath, and you're dressing in clothes that fit, and going out and looking what we call presentable, but it's not a beauty contest by any means.
Right.
And so I think people need to find that comfort zone, but also not worry if you spill something on your dress, who cares? Is somebody going to point at you at work and laugh at you because you spilled something on your dress? At the most, somebody might look and go, "Did you know you spilled something?" Yeah, I know, and there's not a thing I can do about it. It happened on my way to work, and oh, okay, and people will ignore it for the day. But you can't be so absorbed in how you do things or how you look. So if you have a visible disability of some sort, who cares? There was a woman that was really famous back in the 70s and 80s, and she was a newswoman, and she put prosthetic hands on because her hands looked like lobster claws. And she was a beautiful woman. Her name was Bree. I want to say Bree Larson, but I'm not sure if Larson's right. I might be thinking of somebody else. But her first name was Bree, and she was a beautiful woman, and just did a good job being co-host or anchor or whatever she was. But she had these fake hands slid over like sleeves or gloves over her little lobster claws. And so when she sat at the desk, her hands would just kind of be laying there. And people started commenting that you do such a good job and you're so expressive, but how come your hands are so still? So I think one or two times she explained, and they kept getting comments about, well, who cares what her hands look like? So she started taking them off
Wow.
and just had her hands like they were. And then she'd get more expressive with them. And people were so positive.
Wow, because she was being her authentic self. She was embracing her authenticity.
Exactly. And so that's where, be authentic. But I don't think schlepping to Walmart in your, or a job interview in your pajamas or whatever is not being authentic. I think it's deliberately putting yourself down.
Self-sabotage. It's a form of self-sabotage or not feeling worthy of what it is you're trying to bring in.
Very good point. Very good point. And I like Patty's saying, correct, be presentable to your own account. Yeah, for sure. Um, and then I want to show this one real quick too. I thought this was cute. Teamwork, because sometimes may need a hand. And it's two pandas, and one of them's trying to get up on the little shelf, and the other one's pushing his butt up.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes.
That is so cool. Yeah, we are so much stronger in numbers. Unity, collaboration, togetherness, coming together is so important right now. We can accomplish so much more when we work together as a whole, as a team, and embracing what we think are flaws, but really what our unique attributes are, and learning to work together and share. Like, your strengths might be different than my strengths, and if we combine them, we can accomplish so much more, you know?
And don't get discouraged. There are some people that when you start seeing about unity and working together and stuff, there are some naysayers out there that will compare it to communism.
Mm,
Please don't even go down that road. I mean, working together for a greater good or
right.
cooperation is not, it's not communism.
Right. As
um,
long as we respect our individual differences and still hold those unique identities, and that's okay. Yes.
right, right. Um, also recognize that when you are presented with a competition of some sort, um, you don't necessarily have to participate. I have been in situations where, like, I was so busy, and my kids would come home and they would have papers from school. Oh, we're selling candy, or we're selling things, look at the book and buy, and the more I sell, the better prize I can get, and that kind of thing. And it was like a competition, or, and I can remember being a Girl Scouts, and there was one girl who
I
always
was in
sold like
Girl Scouts too.
yeah, and there was always some girl that would sell like 200 boxes, and I'd have like 20 boxes that I sold, and I felt proud of that. But then you're like going, my God, how can I live up to that? And so one thing is, I showed my kids, yeah, it looks really cool to try to win all those prizes, but those prizes are going to break. Those are
Mm,
cheap prizes. I mean, they make them look nice, and the pictures are great, but when you actually get them, they're cheap plastic.
it's so true.
Yeah, and then there are times where I would just rather give the school money and say, don't make my kids sell anything.
That's what my mom would do. She would do that too. She would, like, if it was a whole box of 50 candy bars I had to sell, she would just buy the whole box. So she didn't want me to stress out about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's one thing if your kid's enjoying it, or if you like it, or but why are you participating in something that they didn't give you a choice? If
Right.
somebody doesn't give you a choice, you make it your choice. And you either choose to participate, and this is going to be fun, and I'm not going to be stressed about it, or you go, no, I don't think I want to participate in that. And even like there's a guy I listen to on morning radio that he plays a lot of pickleball, and I know pickleball's fun, but if it
What
gets
is
to the point,
pickleball? Okay, I have to ask.
oh God, yeah, it's kind of like, it's a cross between tennis and ping pong.
Okay.
But you're playing on a court, but it's not as much running as tennis is involved. The ball is different. It's kind of like a wiffle ball. You remember
Okay.
the old wiffle balls with the holes in them? And the paddles are kind of like oversized ping pong paddles. So the ball doesn't move as fast. It's easier to hit, and you're not exerting yourself like you do in tennis. Okay. But it's that same type of thing. And you have teams that, That's about all I know about it. I mean, I'd have
Okay,
to look up.
I got
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Okay. And it's a great activity for a lot of older people are doing it now, but it started out with older people, and it's becoming like family things, and there's competitions everywhere and all that stuff. But if you get to a point where it's not fun or you're stressed, why participate?
It takes the joy out of it.
Yeah, everything you do, life is too short. Everything we do should be joyful.
Absolutely. What
So,
Yeah, one of my
yeah.
friend's mottos is follow your joy. That's one of her mottos. I think she named her business actually that, follow your joy.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
nice.
it's so true though. It really is. We need to get out of our heads and into our hearts more.
For sure. For sure. Very much so. Well, I think, I mean, I guess it's just the main point of this whole thing, just to kind of wrap up, is recognizing how we're drawn into competition, and then recognizing you have choices, and whether or not you want to participate. And I just want to remind everybody, we're going to plan on doing psychic readings next week. I'm hoping Margot can make it back. If she can't, I'm going to try to find somebody else that will come on and help with them. And then the next week is the indigo chakra. So send out positive healing love to Margot, because we want her to get better quickly. She's kind of miserable right now, and I feel bad for her. Katie, give a plug for your website, YouTube, whatever.
So, for those of you who don't know, I am a Reiki Master teacher, Shamanic Life Coach, and I also include sound therapy and crystal healing into my practices. I do in person and remote Zoom sessions online. I have a YouTube channel, Weather Shaman ASMR, where
I don't know why I lost her. Darn it. I didn't do it. Wait a minute. Gotta love technology. She'll be back in just a second. Um, but if you look up the Weather Shaman on Facebook, you'll find her. And let me see, is that her back? Yes, it is. There you go, Katie. Sorry about that. Don't know why. It just one of those weird things.
it's okay. Yeah. So basically, my YouTube channel is Weather Shaman ASMR. I make relaxing meditation videos, ASMR Reiki videos, and I also provide in person and online Zoom Reiki and life coaching healing sessions. I connect with people all over the world to raise the vibe and spread positive energy and love, light, and healing. So head over to Weather Shaman ASMR on YouTube. I would love to connect with you. And Iris, I really, I'm sending healing energy to you as well, to you and Margot. I
Thank you.
You were kind of under the weather, and I'm sending both of you high vibes. And I really appreciate you having me on again. And I love how you reminded me tonight about the importance of us going from competition to cooperation, from a 3D, fear-based, self-centered based mindset into a more cooperative, unity, collaboration, love, harmony mindset. It's all about this ascension process, going from 3D to 5D, from the ego into the heart space. And it's just a wonderful
Yeah.
reminder.
Just let go of that negative stuff. It makes it
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much
yeah. We don't need
easier.
that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah. So loved having you back on. It was great seeing you again, and we'll do it again soon too.
Absolutely. I'd love
Um, and Patty, thank you for your wonderful comments and your positive energy. We appreciate all the feedback. And yeah, so hope to see everybody next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and namaste.
to stay.
Thank you for joining The Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod of Incomptech.com, licensed under Creative Commons. Visit our Facebook page for broadcast details at www.facebook.com/Eyes of Indigo. Show is copyrighted 2022 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. All rights reserved. All rights